Oh, wow. From Kaleidoscape, and we really appreciate you taking the time out today to talk to our dealers, answer some of their questions, go through obviously some of the new product. As we spoke, as dealers on here that are familiar with Kaleidoscape from the past, but may not be as familiar with what they have to offer today. So again, thank you for being with us today, and it's all yours.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott. And yeah, always great to go. You guys know you can always let me know whenever we need to do something like this. And it's always great to see some new dealers. So I'll tell you what, we're going to actually start here with a quick video. So this is actually one that just came up recently. So we just released this, and it really is a solid kind of consumer testimonial video. So why don't we go ahead and show this one real quick as we kick off here. Okay, you guys can see the kind of little hills background there?
Yes.
Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, the entire Star Wars saga. Your typical big blockbuster movies I love, and then a lot of the independent films as well. From a movie buff perspective, the stuff that I watched in the cinema or even on VHS tape back in the day when I was a child really did embolden that passion that I already had. We built this Kaleidoscape theater so I can watch all of my favorite movies. It's just a better experience overall. My name is Travis. I live here with my wife in Cupertino, California. I am a mechanical engineer by trade, so I like to build things. Like just tech in general is a hobby of mine. We bought this house about 2 years ago and renovated it specifically because of a desire to build this custom garage. This space was outfitted to allow me to build things and to tweak things and modify things and to be a workshop of sorts. I grew up on Legos. I collect 6-scale figures as well as drones and RC cars, robots. I'm very much into cycling, both road and mountain biking. I have a passion for all things tech, and that includes AV and cinema, plus the theater behind us. When I first got into it, I actually created a home theater PC, but I don't really like collecting physical media. I don't like ripping discs. It was kind of buggy, didn't always work. It was a lot of manual management, a lot of manipulation, fixing data, and it was just more of a project than I wanted. With a streaming box, there's artifacts, macro blocking, there's just not smooth gradation. You can tell the compression is significant. I wanted something simpler. I want it to look better than anything possible other than what you could see at the studio. Kaleidoscape kind of checked the box of every other device that I had combined, and then some. I'm noticing improved audio and video quality. The interface is faster. Just a better experience. My wife found this house. She called me while she was touring it and said, there's this weird attached garage. It looks like it's double deep, double wide. It's like 960 square feet. We should check it out. So that evening we toured it, and I was convinced in that moment, like we need to make this happen somehow. When we built this theater, we had a lot of challenges. It was old construction, not really insulated, 2x4 walls for a theater that's not great. I designed everything for all the layouts, then I supplied those layouts to a structural engineer. I was trying to do all the typical sound isolation building techniques so that room wouldn't rattle. I built the rack. I installed all of it myself. Understanding lighting, home automation, even you can see in my rack, all of the networking gear I chose, very specifically designed based off of the intentions of what I was trying to go for. From the start, I kind of had an idea of what equipment I wanted. It's sort of high price to performance ratio. TEF ceiling speakers, monolith amplifiers, and processors. The projector is a JVC NX9. and the Kaleidoscope screen masking automation. It's cool. The entire setup, it's significantly better now that we can really leverage its full potential. It has pretty much everything that I could ask for. So now I'm kind of a 4K Dolby Atmos snob. There's not a bigger library of 4K titles than the Kaleidoscope. You can visually see and hear those differences. I've been able to perceive very easily video differences and quite regularly audio differences that I appreciate. When we first got the theater set up and working, including the Kaleidoscope, the first few movies I watched start to finish were the Dark Knight trilogy. I left and went and sort of yelled at my wife. This was amazing. She was surprised how stoked I was after I watched that movie again. I think a lot of that had to do with just the improved image and video quality. Just being in a dedicated cinema, having that space really sort of fired me up. The rental system's awesome. I've been able to watch premium on demand movies that have come out early before I could get them elsewhere. And then to get a discount on that purchase price afterwards is cool. With the Terra server that I have now, it's ridiculously fast. I've ordered a bunch of movies from my phone while I'm remote and then come home and they're already downloaded. It just works seamlessly. AV and cinema is a hobby that I'll continually be involved with, and I imagine there'll be constant iterations on equipment. The Kaleidoscope experience is amazing. That visceral feeling you get is priceless. Just being transparent and not even noticing that you're watching something, just partaking in it, being witness to it. The whole reason we watch movies is to be immersed by it.
Okay, so again, you guys, that's a brand new video. We've been showing it out and people have been fairly impressed with it. We actually had it in with in front of a few consumers as well. What I like about it, it's a little long, but it shows the, he touches on pretty much everything, why he does it. There's a lot of, video in there showing, kind of the build out of the room and how much work is involved in that, which hopefully helps out from a dealer perspective. He talks about rentals, he talks about better video quality, better audio quality, the breadth of movie selections. And so it works really well with that. I've got one other video, I'm not going to show it right now based on time, but with a gentleman named Matt Blair. And if you go onto the Kaleidoscope site, or I'm more than happy to send them over, that one's about 1:45. And again, talks about how, for the last 10 plus years, he's been trying to duplicate or emulate the, Kaleidoscope system. But then, finally gave in and bought a Kaleidoscope, and he's so much happier for it. But he's done the Plex, he's done the Zapitis and all these other products there in the past. So let's go ahead and jump back into this deck a little bit, and we'll chat through a few things here. So again, we kind of introduced myself earlier on. My name is, Brett Bjorkquist. I head up dealer training and engagement globally, I guess, for Kaleidoscope. But I've got about 20 years in the industry. I co-chair 2 CEDIA boards for the volunteer side. And again, I got my start on the California side working for a company called Good Guys. So again, I've done the dealer side of it. And then have moved around to multiple manufacturers. Before this, I was over at Bowers & Wilkins, and then a few other manufacturers as well. So if I were to sum up, what Kaleidoscope is and how we view things, Kaleidoscope's designed from the ground up for the custom integration channel. And we'll talk a lot about that. We're the world's only ecosystem for downloading, storing, and enjoying lossless reference quality movies. And that's really, if you're selling a nice system to your clients, and it doesn't have to be a, $200,000 plus system. But, any system that's driven to be performance, that client's going to want to get everything out of it. Why would I buy a pair of speakers if I'm only going to get 70% out of it? So we'll chat a little bit about that. But again, that's really what we want to do. And if I were to look at, what we've done in the last 20 years, we started in 2001. First product came out in 2003, but like I said, the company itself has been around for 20 years now, and it's always been about custom install. You don't see our products in Amazon. You don't see our products, in all the big box and the rest. We're truly a custom product. it is always sold by the dealer. If somebody calls even into Kaleidoscape to ask questions, where I pick them up on the forums, I answer their questions, and then we find them a local dealer to them. So again, great way. We're always there to support the dealers. And, now we're at a point with it, like I said, a huge amount of movies in there. We have rentals. We've got a lot of technology that we'll be chatting about in a minute here. So, but why Kaleidoscape? We start looking at stuff, and, clients are using Apple TVs and Rokus and things like that. Isn't that good enough? The client's really not complaining too much. But as we see this all over the place, be it, your AVRs, your speakers, your TVs, that commoditization of the AV products, means that we need to be able to step up as an industry and really show some differentiated product, really show clients what can be done, because they're not seeing that. They're not seeing that if they're just looking at a specific page on a website. That's where we come in, and that acceptance of good enough is really what's gone on in the industry, as we see, big tower speakers being pushed down to, sound bars and all the rest. And the same is really true when we get into source content. Yes, absolutely. An Apple TV is easier to use than, having a 300 physical disc collection. But you're not getting the quality in it. It's all lossy, and that good enough and not showing clients what that system is fully capable of is really robbing them of the opportunity of getting that full performance, and so I always say, our job is to educate the client. We show them what's possible. We show them what they're not going to see on some basic website. We educate them on that. And then at the end of the day, they get to pick with their pocketbook, right? And so, but if you show them the best, there's a good chance that they're going to want that. And as we talk about kind of the Kaleidoscape story, you're going to see why, putting solid source content in the beginning, is super important to be able to get the performance, not just day one, but through the years as they're upgrading their other equipment. I always say, we went to CEDIA this year, and obviously it was a little light, so not all these brands were there. But this is a list of all the brands that actually use our products in their training rooms when they go out to events like a CEDIA. They know that, when they're demoing to their client, which is you guys, a dealer, they need to make sure that that demo is going to run flawlessly, that they're not worried about buffering and streaming. They're not worried about dropouts and color banding and things like that. They want it to be dead on every time. And that's why they use Kaleidoscape. And really it runs the same way. If they're using Kaleidoscape, when they're presenting to you guys or to their high-end consumer clients, then realistically, you guys should probably be doing the same thing. As we look at this, we call it perfection in, perfection out. As we look through the blocks, that source content is often overlooked. As clients, consumers, they understand, we're going to go with a bigger screen. Getting from 65 to an 83 inch or 100-inch panel or 150-inch screen. That's easy to see how much more enveloping that's going to be. And so people understand that spend. Same thing with speakers, going from a bookshelf or a, soundbar up to a set of tower speakers, or, adding more speakers to get into Atmos. Those things are easy. But when you start getting into the source content, the question is, well, can I just access everything from my, from my streamer? Well, the reality is, as it's going through the chain, nothing ever gets better. Even as we look at scalers and all the rest, the idea is to try to keep the quality consistent. But as we know, if you took a DVD quality movie and you ran it through a scaler, on a 4K TV, it's still not going to look that great. At the end of the day, the source content matters, both on the video side and on the audio side as well. And that's where a streamer really just can't, keep up with what Kaleidoscape does. And we often have, like I said, 4 times the video bandwidth rate and 10 times the audio bit rate, running through, any movie that they're going to watch. So again, lossy compression, it's great for small devices. If you're trying to watch a movie, Netflix on your phone and you're at the airport, absolutely. You're running around and doing things on a tablet or a small TV with this little sound bar in a bedroom, I understand. But that lossy compression really is deteriorating the product, and especially if you're going on to a bigger and bigger screen. On the audio side, it's muddy dialogue. Oftentimes you can't hear that center channel right. So you hear these explosions, but you can't really hear what's going on in the middle. It's a lack of depth in the lower bass frequencies and detail in the higher end frequencies, missing effects. And I see this all the time in the forums where people are complaining, hey, it says it's Dolby Atmos, but really I don't hear those Atmos speakers firing, or I don't really hear all of these surround channels. And a lot of times that's because those frequencies are being attenuated or removed in order to be able to make it lossy and be able to shrink that file size down. On the video side, it's compression that results in pixelation, color blocking, color banding, blurry and undefined details. We'll go through a little bit of that in a minute, muted colors. So again, if you ask the client, do you know what color blocking is? Probably not, or color banding. But if you told them, hey, when you watch Netflix and you watch that movie and, kind of the sky in the corners, or, everything's dark, and, you kind of see these like big blocks and things like that, everybody has seen that. Everybody gets that. We've all watched something on a streaming channel, and when we just kind of look at that quality, and it pulls us out of the movie or the TV show or whatever it is that we're watching. And so, like I said, it really is important, and ultimately that client's losing out on that dynamic detail, and often the reason why they stepped up and bought better components from you in the first place. And then all of that kind of, ends up going down in terms of quality because we're using lossy for video and audio when you're using a streamer. And here's an analogy I like to use in that. And I think a lot of us understand this even easier on the speaker side. So like I said, I came from Bowers and Wilkins, so I use that as an example here, but, fill your favorite in there. If we were selling a great pair of speakers like this, again, in anywhere in that $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 range, we would never recommend to a client to use free Pandora. We know that lossy audio is not going to sound great on those. And, is somebody going to do it at some point? Sure, somebody might. They just want to listen to something real quick. But, again, as an industry, we know that they may not be happy with those speakers. We don't want them to get returned because they were listening to it and that compressed audio going to the speaker really didn't sound that good, and you weren't getting that full bass response out of it or the highs that were really designed for it. And so we know that on the audio side, but we kind of forget that on the movie side, on the AV side, but it's the exact same thing. Everybody knows this on here, but we want that same lossless performance when we're talking about a movie. I've got more speakers. I've got more money invested oftentimes. Sometimes the 2-channel guys go pretty high as well. But, we want to make sure that the quality that's there is exactly as the manufacturer intended. And like I said, if you go into Bowers and Wilkins, they're using Kaleidoscape, because they know that that's the best. And again, same thing as you're going through the chain with the client. So as we look at the Kaleidoscape experience, we do have the largest collection of 4K content out there, downloadable. We've got more than 8,000 titles in Canada from about 50 different studios. About 400 of those titles, or let's say about 30 to 35%, are actually not available even on disc. So even if you wanted to buy the 4K version, the 4K version has never been made available on disc. And so again, that really means that they're either watching it on a lossy version of their streamer, or again, with Kaleidoscape, if they want that full quality in there. And again, we know as much as we sometimes will sell a disc player and put a Panasonic in there or do whatever we're putting in, that client's really not using it. At the end of the day, they don't want to go sorting through discs and everything else. That's why they're using the streamer. So they think that convenience is the only way to be able to do it. But the reality is Kaleidoscape offers another option in there. And so again, that perfection in, perfection out, lossless audio on every title, visually lossless as well. So again, the picture is going to look pristine. You're not going to see that color banding. You're not going to see that pixelation. And a lot of that's because there's no bandwidth restrictions, on our quality. So, if a file comes in and it's 104 gigs, like Avengers Endgame is, we're going to download the full file at 104 gigs. Whereas even if you took the disc, that disc is only on 66 gigs. So again, even the disc version is often 30% more compressed than what the Kaleidoscape version is. So again, the same reason why discs are better than streaming. Kaleidoscape, we always say, is as good or better than what you're going to get from the disc. And again, this is a big one, you guys. If you're putting in an automation system, we know a lot of you, if you're doing a custom theater and you're putting in Kaleidoscape, there's a good chance you're putting in a control system. We work with all the control systems out there, and we actually use that. So some of the things that we do that, again, no disc player, no streamer is going to do, we have an actual content team. So when they're going through and making sure that those movies look perfect and sound perfect, they're also going in and they're tagging a few key things. So one of the things that they're tagging is the aspect ratio. So if you've got a 16:9 screen or a 235 or a 239 screen, you actually put that in. So we know the size of the screen. And then as the aspect ratio comes in, we know if, again, maybe you've got a Stewart, a self-adjusting, so electric screen mask, we actually can put in there, we know that this movie is in, 185 or this movie's in 2.4. And we can actually send a trigger out to your control system that just says, hey, automate this, and then we can actually automatically adjust. We saw that with Travis's video, where his screen automatically adjusted. And so again, the idea is to make it as simple as possible. The client doesn't have to sit there and hit a button that says 2.4 or 185. It's going to automate that process for them, which especially makes it easier if other people are in the house, because we all know oftentimes only one person in the house really knows how to go dive deep into those controls. So that's a great piece in there. The other really big piece in there is our lighting control. So every time a movie starts, as the intro credits begin, we go ahead and we send out a trigger that says, hey, the movie's starting. You might want to dim some lights. And then you put in with your control system what you want to do. So maybe the major overhead lights, dim all the way down to 0. Maybe the footlights dim down to about 10%. And you're able to, again, have a nice dark movie experience. If you hit the pause button, again, we send a trigger out for that. You can have lights raise up. And then at the end of the movie, as the outro credits begin, we do the same thing. We say, hey, the movie's over. Now's a good time. And you can actually raise up your main lights, however you guys want to do it. But again, that's a feature set that you're not going to find in any other type of player. And you guys can't do it from a control perspective because you would have no idea in that particular movie when the intro credits start in or the outro credits are, for the movie ending. So again, a great way to be able to add additional value and show that tie-in between a system like Kaleidoscape and the control system that you're putting in the house. So this is a big one, you guys. We launched this in February, so it's now, I guess it's not new news, but it's new because people have been asking for it for the last few years and not everybody knows about it yet. So this is rentals and PVOD. So again, this came out at a perfect time because obviously we've all been at home for quite a while here, and people haven't been going out to theaters as they've been closed. And so a lot has been changing in this rental side and the PVOD side. And so, now, like I said, we've got a new opportunity. We also have new clients. I always say I'm surprised because I've got about 850 movies on my Kaleidoscape system and more than 700 discs that I've collected over the last 15 years. And so it blows my mind. But when you really think about it, there's a whole new set of clients that are starting out or will be your clients in the next 5 years. That have never bought a disc. They've never bought a movie. They've never bought a CD. They've grown up in an era of streaming. And so, this offers a product where we'll talk about some of our bigger products, the 72 terabytes and things like that for those big collectors. But there's people that, again, just want to rent movies. They watch it one time and that's usually about it. They'll rent it again if they want to. All of our rentals are in the same exact quality that you would get if you had purchased it. So again, they're going to get that lossless quality. We fully download the movie. But again, this is a great new opportunity for those clients that maybe you approached in the past and said, hey, I just don't collect a lot of movies. Great. We've got a great rental program. And then what's nice is if you rent a movie and you say, hey, I really like this, I think I want to buy this, within that 30-day rental window, we actually credit back half of the rental price towards the purchase. And again, I don't know of any other streaming service, disc service, anybody else that does that. So it's a great way to test out some new movies that you're not sure if you want to buy yet. And then again, get part of that 50% of that rental price put towards the purchase. And then now, you guys, again, we're seeing a lot of people, this comes up in questions quite a bit. but PVOD, or premium video on demand. So when a new movie comes out in the theater, how quickly do we get it? The specific answer is that it depends on the studio and it depends on the movie title itself. Some movies, again, I'm sure you guys see, as we've seen in the US side, HBO Max kind of did a big buy up of all the Warner Brothers movies. And so they would get, a 15 to 30-day exclusive at the beginning. But before it goes to anybody else, we basically have access to it. So as soon as it's ready to go, we're getting access to it. I use, examples like recent, like Black Widow. A few weeks ago now, people have been starting to get their discs in. I'll see comments in the forums of people, their shipment order was delayed or this or that. By the time those first people were getting their discs, our clients had already had that same lossless quality for about 3 or 4 weeks. So again, it just goes to show, we're getting those movies faster and faster than you can get it on disc. One of the things that we've been talking about, so we'll keep this a little quiet in there, but the newest Bond movie comes out November 9th for us. I believe it's expected to come out, early to mid-December. Typically for the disc side, as the holidays come in, but we'll have that content faster. And so, like I said, we're seeing a lot more of that. Even movies like Raya and the Last Dragon, which was a Disney movie, you would have expected maybe Disney again took an exclusive on it, but they didn't. The same day it released on Disney, in their Disney Plus features, we had it on our store as well. So same day as it was released, same price, but our version was visually and audio lossless. So again, a much better value for a lot of our clients from that perspective. And we continue to see that, that rentals and the faster PVODs happening more and more with the studios as they're getting used to really kind of this change of people maybe wanting to watch their movies from home. Movie pricing, price to move. So disc to digital, you guys, this is a great thing. Tracy and I were just chatting with one of the Canadian dealers just the other day about this. And I know we can talk about this a little bit more. And I know, Tracy and them have an Alto version or an Alto product able to use. But basically the idea here, this started with our Premier clients. So again, you may have older clients that have our older Premier products that are disc-based. We want to be able to move them in. Those never did 4K. They can't do rentals. They're great systems and a lot of people love them and want to keep them. But we can actually add a Strato or a Terra product into that and basically combine them all into one on-screen display. So the client has no idea if it's coming from one of the disc players in the older Premiere system or coming from the new, the new content. They just see the full list that, that menu system that we all know from the Kaleidoscape side. They pick it, and then our engines are actually doing the HDMI switching to pull from either one. But what this really allows us to do is we can take those discs. So anything that's been categorized as a product, a disc that the person owns, basically gets cataloged, and that allows us to do our disc to digital price. And we can kind of see on the image here, this is actually one of my personal ones. So we can see on there that I bought 109 movies for $480. And what this was all of my DVDs that I had. So most of them were all DVD quality. I was able to not only import them into Kaleidoscape, but I was able to upgrade the quality in most of these. So most of these ended up being in HD or 4K quality. And my average price, again, you can see here, was less than $5. And I've now converted more than 550 movies. And my average price is a little less than $8. So again, most clients, as we've been running this, I always say, what you should be asking them first as a qualifying question is, how many discs do you have? If you're building a theater for them, there's a good chance that, that they have a physical collection that they've been using for years, using a disc-based player. We want to be able to convert those in. Let's go ahead and be able to upgrade the quality in those. And that's what disc to digital is all about. And I've sent this out and I've tested this with probably 20 people personally. Most of them ended up moving up from a Strato S. When you start talking and they, you ask them how many movies they have and they say, 300 to 500. And then you start talking about how, every 6 terabytes equates to about 100 4K movies. They start realizing themselves, oh, well, then a 6 terabytes is probably not the right product. I probably need a Tera, be it a 2448 or a new 72. And at which point you say yes. But what I've been finding is when you start qualifying those questions properly and you can offer them, for some people, it's that hesitancy. What do I do with all my physical content? This gives them a way to be able to not just move it in, but to upgrade it. And if they were to upgrade those on disc, again, they'd be paying full price. They'd be paying just for another disc. The disc side is never going to give them discounts on their previous purchases, but we do. So, and we see the same thing as we look at, I'll use again 2 examples, Lord of the Rings and Indiana Jones. So again, 2 big trilogies that, you know, came out this year. Maybe Lord of the Rings came out at the end of the last year. It's all blurring together. But as they came out, you know, if you bought those, you bought them in a box set, you bought the new ones, you know, you were still paying, you know, $25 to $35 a movie. You know, if you're buying the disc version of it, if you had, like I had, the DVD versions of all of those movies, being able to upgrade it to 4K HDR Atmos was $10 a movie. So again, it cost me less money. You know, sometimes people say, oh, well, you know, Kaleidoscape's expensive, and then the movies are expensive. You know, it depends on the title and it depends, but usually, you know, again, a new release might be a little bit more expensive, but when you can get those same new releases in an upgraded quality and it only costs you $10 to upgrade it, that is a great price point there. And in addition to that, you know, if you've been checking out, if you are a Kaleidoscape dealer, if not, you know, you can check out our site. We've had special pricing going on every week since at least March. We've had Marvel Studios, like you can see here, every Marvel movie was on sale for $10. We've done that sale twice in the last quarter. We did on May the 4th, of course, we did a Star Wars promotion. So every Star Wars movie was $10. We did an Academy Award winner. So it was Academy Award winners and nominees. So there were about 135 movies on there that were all priced at either $10 or $15. I think I picked up 25 movies that day to kind of round out my collection in there too. So we've got a lot of great stuff here, you guys. And the point being in here is that a lot of times, and generally speaking, our price is pretty consistent with what you'd find on disc or what you'd find on one of the streamers, but you're going to get that lossless quality. And again, we continue to do more and more sales. And this is something that, again, if you've been around Kaleidoscape for a while, you know, isn't something that we really did before. But as you know, our new CEO came in, Taylor, last year, his first things in there were, how do we get the price down for disc to digital, working with the studios, and how do we get the studios to, you know, help us to be able to do more movie sales. So again, our content team has been working overtime to get that done. And, you know, your client's really going to benefit out of that. And again, it's something you should definitely be chatting with them about. Here's one of my favorite pieces, you guys. So I always say, you know, sell Kaleidoscape because your clients are going to love it. They're going to get all the performance out of their equipment. Even if you never sold a Kaleidoscape system to a client, you should own a Kaleidoscape system to do your demos. And this is one of the reasons why. So we've all been there. Again, like I said, when I was starting to sell 20 years ago, you know, on the side of Good Guys, you know, it was all discs. You put a disc in, you wait for the FBI warning to come up. You got to go into the menu system. Then you got to jump over to a chapter. Then you got to fast forward or rewind to the exact scene that you want. And then you got to keep going back and forth because you miss it. We've made this so much easier. So again, our content team goes into most all movies. So every movie gets that aspect ratio and the lighting cues tagged. Pretty much every movie and everything now gets favorite scenes done. And so basically we tag some of those, again, favorite scenes that you're going to see in a movie that everybody wants to be able to watch. But what you're also able to do as an end user, so as a client, or you as a dealer creating demos, you can actually tweak it. You can say, oh no, I wish it was a little longer, a little shorter. Why she started 10 seconds earlier. You can basically create any demo scene you want. And it's not chapter skip based. It's the exact section that you want to be able to do. And when you create that, you can see that little heart in there where it says the time jump. That shows that it's one that you created. And you can take those scenes and then you can chain them together. So I do this all the time. You know, if I'm doing a demo, you know, maybe I want to start off with something that shows, you know, high dynamic range, right? So I want to show something with some amazing, you know, blacks to whites and colors. So maybe I'm going to show Life Cycle or Planet Earth 2. And so I'm going to show one of my favorite clips from there. And that's going to show off the processing power of the projector, you know, and the beauty of the screen and the, you know, deep blacks. And then after that, you know, maybe I want to show something in Atmos. So maybe it's Baby Driver or Ready Player One. and that's going to help show off all my audio. And, in addition to audio, that guy may be into, music itself, right? So if we're building a good theater, it should sound great for music. And we actually have a huge collection of music concerts, so video concerts, in our collection as well. So, a lot of people, especially as COVID's been on and it's been hard to find live music, this has been, again, a great piece for them to be able to watch some concerts, come home on a Friday night, listen to some music. There's a great one by Sarah Bareilles that is actually only in 2-channel, but really highlights what we're able to do in there. And so she does a cover. She does a lot of her own great stuff, but she does one for Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. And it sounds phenomenal. So again, something in there, maybe it's Adele, maybe it's Hans Zimmer, which we're actually the only place that you can actually get his Live in Prague, which is great demo content. But we offer it in 4K and Atmos, and even on disc, you can only get it in Blu-ray and Atmos. So again, content like that. And then maybe I want something in LFE. So now, for something recent, maybe it's Wrath of Man. There's always, Deepwater Horizon. There's always plenty of movies. Godzilla versus Kong. All great movies for showing off that LFE and, again, some of the different color in there. So chaining them together is a great way to be able to take a look at this. Now, again, like we talked about, although we may use, and you guys may be using discs for your demos right now, if you're not using the Kaleidoscape system, we know your client's not using that. They're all moving over to streaming because it's more convenient. And so what we've actually created here, and this is a deck that you guys can use, so you're welcome to these slides. We also have it on our website. And so this is a great one. So you can see this is actually a scene from A Star is Born. And so you can see the yellow box in there. That's kind of where we're zooming in. This was actually done by Phil Jones at Projector Reviews. So we had this done by a third party in there. But what you're going to be able to see is basically the streaming version from what was on an Apple TV versus what it would look like in Kaleidoscape. So we'll go ahead and take a quick look here. So again, hopefully you guys can see in there, depending on your screen size and where you're at, but you can see that wipe back and forth, and you can see how blurry, that sign looks when you're looking at it, or as you look back at that, the red neon in the back, same kind of thing. You can really see how it blurs versus the detail that you're going to get when it's in Kaleidoscape. And so again, this is a great demo. The other thing that we've added in here that I don't have, so it's not on here, it's only available on a Kaleidoscape system. We actually have a new video that we created that we picked up from Netflix. So it's actually a video that comes from Netflix that's usually used for developers. But what we did is we actually, again, it's a video, it'll pause, and then basically it wipes back and forth, and you can clearly see the difference between what you would get in streaming content quality and what you get in Kaleidoscape. And that's a free download that's available on any Kaleidoscape system. So again, great content that you can just easily put right onto your Kaleidoscape demo unit, and then be able to show the client, hey, this is really the difference in between what you're going to see. And then I always have content that I, like to look at and can tell you guys about for, hey, pull up an HBO Max account. Here's a couple movies, show this scene versus showing Kaleidoscape, and you're going to be able to see and hear a dramatic difference between those two. So as we look at this, and this is the why, we've got the audio throughput in megabits per second, as well as the video throughput. We can see the gray one is a streamer. And so we can see that average and that peak throughput. It's just nowhere near, the amount of content that's coming out, frankly, from either a disc or from Kaleidoscape. And Atmos has kind of a cap at 24.5 megabits per second. A disc can do that. But again, a streamer is nowhere near that. But then when we get into the video side, you can see where we improve even over a disc, where again, we blow away the video quality in terms of a streamer, but you can see the average throughput of a disc is actually typically at around 50 megabits per second. We make sure that our video output is actually running closer to 65 megabits per second. And that less compression is just what makes, again, a better picture. And then again, on our peak throughput, same thing. So a disc usually runs to about 100 megabits per second. We actually push that all the way out to 120, sometimes 130 megabits per second. And then the audio is on top of that. So, like I said, it's again, we're definitely putting out more content and compressing less, than what you can get definitely on a streamer and even on disc. So that's a lot about the product in itself. And again, why you should be offering it. Basically, it comes into if you're selling your client a system and you're using lossy, for that content on it, they are not getting the full performance out of any of that equipment. I can make a $5,000 speaker sound like a $10,000 speaker. And by using lossy audio, I can make a $10,000 speaker sound like a $5,000 speaker. So, this is one of those things that if you have the right source content from the beginning, everything is going to sound and look better no matter what quality level that equipment is at. And then as that client in the future probably upgrades that projector or upgrades those speakers or upgrades from an AVR to a pre-pro, they're going to continue to benefit from having that amazing source equipment from the beginning. And since this is a long-term purchase, we're still supporting every product we've ever built. So again, nobody does that on the technology side. But again, if you've got a 10-year-old, 15-year-old Premiere system, we're still supporting those products. We still upgrade every movie into those products. Obviously, there are hardware limitations where they can't do 4K, they can't do rentals. But again, we've devised a system that actually works together with our new Strato and Terra products so that that client can enjoy the content from both pieces. And again, they only see it in one great on-screen display. So real quick, as I wrap up in here, I want to talk about some of the dealer tools that you guys get with us. So again, we're a custom install product. This is not a $200 box where you buy it, you sell it, you buy it again in a year or two when they come out with the new version. This is truly a rock solid product. Our failure rate is less than 0.5%. So these things really just do not fail in the field. But at some point you may need dealer support. We've got a great way to do that. We've got product articles. We've got webinars that we'll talk about here in a second. If you call, dealer calls are always prioritized, especially if you guys are in the field. That's an important thing to be able to do. And again, while you can obviously email us, we do have a phone number on there and those guys are available. We've got somebody in California and New Jersey, and these guys know what they're talking about. Rusty's been in the company for, I want to say, more than 16 years. So pretty much since the beginning, and Andre, again, has deep knowledge in there, and I get calls as well. Not support, but I am always happy to help if I can. So great support team in there for you guys. We have the dealer certification program, which again is something that I built out. So again, it comes from the dealer side. It's 8 courses. Each course is really only about 15-20 minutes. The longest one I think is like 25 to 30, and all the rest are about 12 to 15. So it's a total only of about 2.5 hours. This is going to teach you guys how Kaleidoscape works, how to be able to use the dealer extranet for ordering products and things like that. So anybody coming on as a new dealer, this is definitely something that you're going to want. And then it also goes into selling strategies, and this is one of the things that as we look at this, you can see we've got a whole bunch of 5 stars. So again, you can actually rate them. They're all 5-star reviews. Anybody that gives anything less than a 5-star review, that actually comes personally to me in my email, so that I can reach out and see, is there just something that somebody misunderstood? Is there something that you would like to see better in the training? It really is interactive and engaging in there. And this is actually something John Siaka, he's a writer, so you guys have probably seen him in residential systems and plenty of other spots, but he's actually a dealer on the East Coast as well. And so he had called up and he had said, I got to take this thing anyways. What if I wrote an article about this as how I took it as a dealer, from a dealer's perspective? And I said, that would be great. And so he actually took it over basically a day, took the training, and then wrote this great 3-page article on it. So happy to share that with you. But again, definitely take a look. He basically says, I pulled a few quotes in here. I feel the training is beneficial for all salespeople focused on selling luxury systems. And that's because I didn't make it totally about Kaleidoscape. It's really about, how do I sell higher end systems? How do I put those systems together? And so it really is designed to be a great training for anything that you're selling, but obviously lending itself to offering Kaleidoscape. And then again, monthly dealer webinars, we do a few different things. So again, webinars like this one today, as we walk through it. As Tracy knows, Tracy and I were working with the dealer the other day, who again was getting started up and wanted a little, one-on-one time. I'm happy to do those as well to be able to help you guys out too. I do say the certification answers most of those questions. So if you run through that, then like I said, if you have anything else, and we can dive deeper into any of those different pieces. And at times we'll have guest panels and, and hosts or other dealers and things coming on. So there's always a lot of different topics. And again, you guys can, just like here, always feel free to ask any questions. And then if we look at the products here real quick as we tie up and we can answer some questions. On the Terra side, so this would be our best of the system. We have our newly launched at Cedia is our 72 terabytes. So that's capable of holding 1,200 4K movies, which sounds like a lot, but I will tell you guys, we have already sold more than 25 of them. I think before we even launched it, we had about 12 pre-orders on this thing already. And so, you know, for those people that are, especially if they're already a Kaleidoscape client, they've been collecting for a while. Like I said, I have about 850 movies. I have a 40 terabyte. So just before they came out with the 48, and I've blown through that. That holds about 800 movies in it, 750. Now I'm way past that. So I need to buy another Tera as well. So again, you'll see that a lot with clients. They buy one, they want to buy more. Or again, maybe they just have a big collection and they want to buy it from that perspective. Compact Tera, we just launched this one at Cedia. This is a brand new product. We'll talk about this in a second and kind of a best, better, good scenario. But this, I think, will be one of the hotter products as it kind of gets out there and people get to know it. It's offered in a 12 terabyte, so that would hold about 200 movies, and an 18 terabyte, which would hold about 300 movies. And again, I think that 18 terabyte is really going to be the go-to product for most people in here. And we'll talk about why in just a second. And then the Strato S, we did recently remove our 12 terabytes. So there may be a few floating around to be able to pick up. But since we see a lot of people have been engaging with that compact Tera, that makes sense for that kind of better option. And then the Strato S 6 terabyte really becomes that great intro product. So if somebody's not quite sure about what they want to spend, or again, maybe they do a lot of rentals, so they don't need a lot of storage because they're not going to buy a lot of movies, then that 6 terabyte is a great product, you know, for somebody that's doing that. Although I would also still recommend a compact Tera. And here's kind of the why on the Strato C player. If you're buying a Tera or a compact Tera, those are servers. So they hold the movies and they serve the movies out, but you need a player. And so that's what the Strato C would be for. On the Strato S, the one thing that's nice with it again is it's a simple one single unit. It's storage and playback. So, you know, as we talked about things like demo units and the rest, that's usually the first product I recommend for dealers, because you could take it out to a client's home. All the movies are on there. You don't even need internet, you know, versus having the two products needed to be on a network with a compact Tera or a Tera. But here's kind of a great way in how I look at this. When I talk, I always say best, better, good, right? We start at the top. If you start at the bottom, it's difficult to move them up, you know, from that fashion. But if you start at the top and the best, if, you know, they may say yes. If they don't, hey, now we have a step down. So as we look at the Tera and the Strato C, this is going to be great because, like I said, this has a lot of movie storage. 24 terabytes, again, at 6 terabytes per 100 movies. It means that you're going to get between 400 and 1,200 movies. You know, as we go between the 24, 48, and 72 terabytes. It also has 4 drives. And what that's great for is that if a drive ever fails, so like we said, it's, you know, it's not too often that happens, but if a drive fails, the other 3 drives are still up, that system is going to stay up. And so the client, again, imagine Friday night. I always say these things don't fail, but when are they going to fail? They're going to fail right before a party. Somebody's sitting down to watch a movie, you know, or the kids want to watch, you know, their latest Disney movie and have their friends over. So in this case, if that drive fails, we automatically alert you as the dealer. So we'll send you a ping saying, hey, there's something going on with this. We've already created an RMA for the disk drive because we can see that it's a disk drive that failed. So we're trying to automate that and make that easier for you guys. As a CI, you know, manufacturer, we know that that's a relationship that we needed to support you the same way you support the client. But what's also great is without any input from you or the client, if there's space on those other 3 drives, we automatically start taking the movies that were on that failed drive and start downloading it to those other 3 drives. So again, the client may not even know that the drive has failed until you call them and say, hey, I've got a drive that just came in. Can I get 20 minutes at your house? And we'll go ahead and swap it out. But that system is still up and running. And that's great, especially for those high-end clientele that you have. And then again, same thing. Let's say there wasn't enough space for all of it, but either way, you pull out the bad drive, you put in the new drive, it basically the front flips down and it just seats in. And then we automatically start downloading any content that was on that drive that hasn't been downloaded to the other 3. We basically automate the process of downloading it. So that Tera system really is the best. It's the most hands-off. It's got that redundancy built into it. This is what you want to be able to pitch first and foremost. And again, for any of those clients that have, again, a couple hundred discs, this is the right product because they're going to obviously be collecting. Now, if they're not quite sure about that product, the Compact Terra is that step down. The one last thing on the Terra is that it can actually expand up to 10 zones. So that's, again, tremendous. Somebody needs it. We do get into those larger systems, and especially on the marine side, but obviously for a lot of people, that's not what, they don't need that many zones. The Compact Terra takes really the key features that people love. And before, when we had the Strato to the Terra, it was a fairly large jump in price. So a lot of times when you have those two in a big jump, people want some of those features, but they're not quite willing to pay for it if they don't know it, and they end up stepping down into a Strato S. This really should be that key product because of that, because now they can still get that 4 times faster download. So the Terra and the Compact Terra both have 4 times faster download speed than the Strato S. And what that means is a 4K movie would generally be about 35 to 40 minutes downloading on a Strato S. So you order the movie, a lot of people order it a day or two ahead, and it's like, or they have a big collection, so the movies are just there. But with a Compact Terra or a full-size Terra, you can download it 4 times faster, which means that same 4K movie will probably only take about 10 minutes to download. So, I mean, that's like, pick a new movie, go grab some popcorn, sit down, and you're ready to watch your movie. So that's the benefit, again, of the Terra and the Compact Terra. And that's a key feature that consumers ultimately love, because we all like getting things faster. And so that Compact Terra adds that 4 times faster capability, that 18 terabytes. So we know that on average, 50% of our owners have more than 250 movies. Now, when you get to the top, again, that's a lot of big Terra systems that have thousands of movies in them. But at 250 being the average, that means that 18 terabyte, which will hold about 300 4K movies and more when you look at HD in there, is really going to be that sweet spot. So again, it's the perfect amount for most people. It's got the 4 times faster speed, and you can actually output that using the Strato Cs to up to 5 zones. So again, that's going to cover probably 90% of your clientele if they need those extra zones. And a lot of people think about that home theater being that first zone. That's why they're buying a Kaleidoscape. But after a while, once they're collecting movies, the natural question is, why wouldn't I want to watch this in a master bedroom or a kid's playroom or some of those other rooms? And so that's really where that Compact Terra, being able to expand up to 5 zones, simultaneous 4K movies going out, is really beneficial. And then if they're still not sure about that, or like I said, don't buy a lot of content, mainly rent, don't mind having the slightly slower speed, we can use that Strato S 6 terabyte. It gets them into the system. The beauty is that, again, the movies are going to take a little bit longer. If they fill up that, 100 movies that you can basically store on there, you can always add a Compact Terra or a Terra to that system. All of our systems, you can kind of mix and match and add additional storage or add additional players. And even the Strato S 6 terabyte has the ability to actually expand to 2 zones. So you could add another Strato S, so maybe another Strato S 6 terabyte, which would give you more storage and another zone. Or they could add another Strato C if they need just another zone to be able to play back that content. Or like I said, maybe it's a Compact Terra 18 because they realize they need more storage. So that is what I have here, you guys. I appreciate it. I know it's a lot of information in there, but I am happy to answer some questions. Scott or Tracy, do we have some stuff we want to talk about?
One of the gentlemen mentioned that he was wishing that Revenant was available in 4K so we didn't have to start a Blu-ray each time. So I'm not sure if that...
I'll tell you what, hold on one second here. I am 99% sure we have it in 4K. Movies. Oh, hold on. I should probably share my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing.
That was great, Brett. That was a really good, it's amazing how much information you can get out in 45 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I try to cram it in there. So
it's good because it hits all the key points.
Yeah. So this is the movie store, you guys. You can see Clint Eastwood on here right now. We can pre-order that. Addams Family just came out, so new to 4K. Scream, new to 4K as well. Let's see here, new HBO content. So we're kind of talking about this at the top, but we brought in, so we now have Game of Thrones, Sopranos, all those in there. So again, you can see a lot of movies, and then you can see, returning series. So this is TV, as we've been getting also Paramount content. So you can see if we click on special pricing, we can see, Blacklist in this case, because I think that started up this week. So the idea is people can buy those previous seasons, but let's go ahead and take a look. So if I look up Revenant, which is a great movie in there, we can see that that is HDR. So this is absolutely, and you know what, this may be where the question comes in. So HDR does not necessarily mean 4K as we're talking about in general. It has more to do with coloring, right? But anything that you see, if it is HDR on our system, it is also 4K. So we've been able to get it. So anything that's in HDR is absolutely in 4K. And so if you ever see that, again, anything in a yellow box, sometimes there'll be UHD. I'll blow this up so everybody kind of see it. So again, as we look on here, we can see it's in HDR. If this said UHD in it, but it was still a yellow box, that always means that it's going to be in 4K. So this is definitely a great movie to be able to demonstrate. What else we got, Tracy?
I'm just going to scroll down here.
I wanted to mention too, Brett, that it's for Canadian dealers, the prices on the movie store are in Canadian dollars.
Yes, and sorry, so I am pulling up, obviously you guys have a .ca. I pulled up my, my US version. That's what I have on here. But yes, the typically if you go into the movie store and you're in the Canadian version, all of those would be in Canadian dollars for you.
Another question was somebody was asking if they can get email notifications for sale items. I know that I received them, so I'm not sure how I signed up for that. And if that's something that dealers or customers would get.
Yes, so absolutely. Any of our customers, we make this super easy when a sale comes out, you guys. We want people to be able to see this. That's part of it. And so there's groups like the Kaleidoscape Users Group and the Owners Forum. They'll talk about sales all the time. But yes, when you sign up and from an end user client, and if you sign up as a dealer, and you have a demo unit, your email, you will get all of that, all of those updates. So you'll get an email usually every couple days that says what's on sale. And most of our sales always run for a week. So think of it kind of like how discs would be in the past, right? They start on Tuesday and they go through Monday night. Some of our specials go for 2 weeks, but again, assume a week. And we absolutely send emails out. So if somebody is a dealer and has a demo unit and isn't getting those emails, let me know and I'm more than happy to work on that. Otherwise, like I said, is you get a demo unit, something attached to your name, and definitely for your client, they're going to get those emails because we want them to know about those sales prices.
All right. Another question we got was, are you able to do a filter search or based on ratings?
Yes. So there are 2 ways to do that. If we're talking general searches, let me pull my screen back up here. Okay, so let's go back into movies. So we're kind of browsing all here. So we'll hit a couple different filters on here. So for some people, they've got that HDR system or UHD and better. We can make it so it will only show 4K HDR content. If they are, you just put in a Dolby Atmos system. People go crazy over wanting that. So now we can actually
by rating.
Rating. Absolutely. So when you're in the system, and I don't have it to pull up on here, otherwise I'd pull up mine. You can actually make it so any movies that you own, you can make it so it will only play up to PG, PG-13, R, what have you, or no filters. And then you can make it so that there's a pin. So assuming you have a younger person in the house, you want them to be able to watch, their Disney or what have you, but not all the content you have. You actually set that up in the Kaleidoscape system, and you can make it so that there's a pin on there. So if you try to access a movie that's above, and again, you set it, but let's say above PG-13, then, it'll ask you for a 4-digit pin. And that kind of gives you a way to be able to control who's able to see what content.
Excellent. Another question, someone's asking if the Strato S 12 terabyte is still available.
So like I was mentioning in there, so the Strato S 12 terabyte is phasing out. We sent an email out to dealers. I know it just started this week, so I'm assuming it went out to everybody in there. But again, if you've missed it or anything like that, it is phasing out. We'll always, the 6 terabyte still there. But what we find is, at that 12 terabyte price point, it's basically, you were able to get into the compact Tera, which had that 4 times faster download, for about 20% more. So, again, that unit is being phased out, but I don't know, Tracy, you may have some stock on it still. I know we still have a few pieces if somebody needed it in particularly, but if you're pitching it, pitch the Strato S6 or jump up to the compact Tera. I would stay away from the Strato S12 moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a Strato S12 in stock. If anyone's got 1.25.
I think that covers all the questions that we received from the participants. So
Okay.
thank you, Brett. Thanks, Scott,
Sure.
for setting this up, and everyone for attending. I know that I've been getting emails from a couple of guys constantly throughout this, so it's I've got some work cut out for me now.
Yeah. So again, Tracy knows and Scott knows, if you have any questions, reach out to them. They can bring me in. I'm happy to help however I can. You can also always reach me at training@kaleidoscape.com. And I'm always happy to, again, answer questions or technical questions, or, again, how do I do some of these different things? And definitely, you guys, this is a great product. I know I've seen some dealers that may have been Kaleidoscape dealers in the past and kind of disengaged from it. I think that the company is tremendously new. I came in about a year ago, and I came in specifically to build out dealer training and engagement. I think we've got a lot of great information on there. We're getting that information out to clients more. So again, I've been doing even consumer facing webinars and blogs and different things like that have definitely been getting people talking about Kaleidoscape more. And that may be why you guys are on here, but definitely check it out. Chat with Tracy and Scott, chat with me. And I think, again, it's a great product to be able to offer your clients, and you should definitely be taking a look at it. If you don't offer it, you can't sell it. So
Yeah, and once you have that demo system in your hands and you actually get to hear it and see it, it's a done deal.
Exactly.
It's one of those products that you can read all you want, but until you have it and see it, that's the absolute closer.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah. So like I said, if that's all the questions, and I'm good there, but I'm always available to help however we can. Appreciate everybody's time today.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.